Dear friends, greetings to you. My name is Alexey Ognev. I am the CEO of the DigiU ecosystem. Today we have another webinar and a lot is happening. May has started off quite actively and we wrapped up April on a high note. There was a presentation at the Blockchain Forum exhibition in Moscow, where I was present along with representatives from WebWise Capital. At the end of April and the beginning of May, the largest international event took place, which we also attended with part of our team, and we visited many additional events surrounding the main one. The AVA team was there, as well as the WebWise Capital team, the Antipad team, and of course the founders. Usually this is always very effective because people gather, tasks are clearly distributed, it's clear who is responsible for what, who has which goals, and where the professionals are heading in order to meet many funds, projects, technologies, influencers, and so on. And as a rule, after this, either the project, the ecosystem, or both experience significant growth. At the very least, we always gain a lot of knowledge about the market, about trends, about certain narratives, about what is said on stage, and naturally about what is said behind the scenes, about what people think in informal settings. From all this, we draw certain conclusions, adjust this or that strategy, and accordingly develop certain partnerships. We also pay attention when, for example, one thing is said from the stage, but something else is discussed backstage. And when you go out into the hall, meaning the commercial area where the booths and everything else are, there are representatives from a completely different segment talking about something else entirely. For example, that's what happened to me at the Blockchain Forum. On stage, there are representatives from the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Education, talking about the legalization of certain narratives in Moscow. We go out into the hall and see that the contingent capable of paying for participation in the exhibition, paying for a booth, in 70-80% of cases is mining equipment, some projects with unclear backgrounds, and those who deal with traffic and listing make up a smaller part. That is assistance with listings and those who generate a lot of traffic through marketing stories. And we understand that right now, for example, the money that can be spent on participating in the exhibition is in fact in the hands of mining companies. Accordingly, we draw the conclusion that probably we are about to see the next stage of market development, which could be quite significant. At the moment, those who want to get into mining buy equipment and do everything in a more or less straightforward way, that is, plug it in, register a company, and pay taxes on mining while earning Bitcoin, and generally go through all the challenges and opportunities of such an initial market entry. These people have the opportunity to do so. For our part, we are observing the situation carefully. My task was to find some promising projects, see how we can integrate our development somewhere, and talk to representatives of companies working with artificial intelligence. There were very few of them, unfortunately. But at the same time, it was obvious, and this was mentioned from the stage by many speakers, that artificial intelligence is what will solve everything that we currently cannot solve, that soon it will appear and do everything for us. Or at least that is the hope. Overall, this is the narrative we have to work with. Sometimes we have to explain that not everything will be solved, and not so quickly. For example, in order for something to be solved, you need resources, you need competencies, you need deeper research and understanding. But it's good that the development of artificial intelligence systems and their application in the world is growing at a rapid pace, and we are witnessing this progress firsthand. Last year, the rapid development of ChatGPT began, and now we are seeing the same thing with AI agents as a consequence. We see that practical applications have started. Everyone can create an AI agent and everyone can try to monetize it. In most cases, this is done through marketing and various promises. In some cases, it really does create a practical effect. For example, in analytics, in generative interfaces and services, when you get super cool images and videos created for you. And we actively use this in the development of our product DigiU Alpha. we try to showcase it from different angles, how it looks, how it can be perceived. To find some form for it, you can go to the Facebook profile and see how it looks now and what does or does not attract attention, and accordingly you can participate in the contest that it is directly running. You can find an encrypted seed phrase of 12 words where all or almost all the words have already been posted, and you can win a portion of the Bitcoin that we are giving away. It's a small part, but a pleasant one. Considering current valuations, it's about $500. So study it carefully and pay close attention to every single detail. It's not exactly a contest in the traditional sense, rather it's more of a sequential process where either a word or a cipher is posted, which overall isn't too hard to solve on your own, or you can use some of the latest, most advanced GPT technologies to figure out what the word is, assemble the seed phrase, go in, and be the very first to withdraw it for yourself. So if you haven't seen it yet, take another look. Some words are hidden in webinars and posts on the DigiU Alpha page and on my page as well. At his request, I posted one of the ciphers for everyone to see. In general, DigiU Alpha offers a variety of interesting, engaging activities and opportunities. We encourage them and support their ongoing development. We are building up an audience, and thanks to this audience, we are training him, encountering some difficulties and challenges along the way, but overall, we are showing how all of this works in the real world in practice. We are also training him in Telegram chats where you interact with him actively and enthusiastically. For me, it's extremely gratifying and rewarding to see this, to read it, to improve him in some way and so on. Obviously, we are doing everything possible to keep up with the current realities of the market, sometimes even get ahead of them, and at the very least be the ones who turn modern technologies toward people, making them more human and accessible, because we use GPT chats, various networks. They all do very cool, breakthrough things, but they are not always oriented toward people. I'm not saying the word client, I'm not saying customer or professional. Those are the people they are aimed at, but just for ordinary people, not yet. And we are trying to bring this humanity into our product step by step, making sure that everyone can benefit from these innovations and improvements, truly making a difference little by little every single day. Because over the past 5 years of development, we have launched a number of successful complex products that are not always accessible or understandable to everyone, but which work successfully and reliably in a variety of situations. At the same time, it's clear that now it makes sense to bring these advanced technologies directly to people everywhere. And what kinds of needs and challenges do people in different countries and regions around the world have? Where, how, and with what should they start interacting with these technologies, which, as my team and I firmly believe, are already changing the world in significant ways? We will try to prepare people for this transition. So if you are in the DigiU ecosystem, it's obvious that here you encounter this human approach with a humanized artificial intelligence, with a human manifestation of technology, all of which are firmly based on solid expertise, deep market understanding, and the ability to achieve results in any conditions, whether they are difficult or easy in a growing or declining market. For 5 years we have been doing this, and we are proud of it. We have built a very strong, dedicated team, and now in 2025 we are in a transitional period before the third stage of our development. And it feels like we might be able to move to that stage even earlier than expected. We always try to finish what we start ahead of schedule. That's one of the core principles we follow. If we see a deadline, we try to get things done before it arrives. I mentioned the exhibitions earlier. In just a few minutes, Aidar Saburov will join us to share some news and his personal impressions of Token 2049. He'll discuss how this important event went for us, for Antipad, and for WebWise Capital as a whole. What trends and significant events took place there? You'll hear all about it very soon. I'll also try to wrap up the topic of my visit to one of the most recent exhibitions. I covered it in detail in the last webinar, which I highly recommend watching if you haven't already. It turned out to be very interesting and informative. And the main topic was data centers. We are increasingly encountering the fact that from a legal standpoint, from the perspective of information security and in terms of overall product development, it is absolutely necessary to have our own data centers in different parts of the world if we want to develop an international product, especially one connected to artificial intelligence and advanced technologies. So, how are modern neural networks and products based on these neural networks developing today? Obviously, it's through close interaction and collaboration with all open neural networks, GPT, DeepSeek, and many others. Everything that is available is being used to its fullest potential. And this benefits those networks as well because they also develop and improve through this process. In fact, those who are in this market contribute something of their own, compiling and sharing current developments. In terms of implementation methods, we are no exception. But our human-centered approach is one of our unique features, which allows us to achieve an international factor right away. What does this mean? It means that your product is understood and in demand in different countries across various cultures, religions, economies, and age groups. And how do we achieve this? By acting on fundamental human values, say and do. What else? Honesty, fairness, the ability to listen, and the ability to find common ground by offering not what we think someone might need, but what a person, a client, truly needs, and so on. Returning to data centers, let's continue. After the exhibition, this topic caught my interest because this issue can suddenly become extremely relevant. And what does suddenly mean? For example, in the next few months, we'll be releasing the MVP of DigiU Alpha, a personal assistant you can interact with directly, who can recommend things to you. It will gradually develop. Right now, I'm talking specifically about the MVP, the minimum viable product. And then I think by autumn, it will grow into something more. And what does that mean? How can a sudden need for something arise? If we do everything right, this product will spread very quickly in the regions where we are currently present and in other regions as well. And that's an uncontrollable process. We once experienced this with DigiU when we had over 10,000 registrations in just a few hours. We didn't sleep for several nights answering questions from the audience. The same thing could happen here, only not in the tens or thousands, but in the millions.
Hello everyone, dear friends. Aidar Sabirov here. I'd like to share with you my impressions and insights about the Token 2049 conference, which recently took place in Dubai. In fact, I'm still here as we speak. Just half an hour ago, the Solana Super Team event wrapped up, but I'll talk about that a bit later. There are still various events and meetings happening here. Overall, Dubai is a progressive city that's moving toward cryptocurrency regulation. Speaking of Token 2049 week, there were over 200 side events in total. Of course, it was impossible to attend absolutely all of them, but thanks to the fact that Alexander, Boris, and Faraj were on site, we managed to cover all the main events and spoke with key market representatives. Eric Trump was also present at the event. He's Donald Trump's son. He expressed strong support for Bitcoin, once again calling it digital gold. I'll probably share the main points and trends that stood out to me in a nutshell. Arthur Hayes noted that the industry is expecting a Federal Reserve rate cut and a bullish rally by the end of the year, and he is very optimistic. Arthur Hayes is quite a well-known figure in the crypto space. He is the co-founder of BitMEX and an active influencer and supporter of Bitcoin. He expects, at the very least, that Bitcoin will reach $150,000 by the end of this rally. Another separate topic was stablecoins backed by US Treasury bonds. Right now, there are a lot of projects launching in this area, with many teams creating such stablecoins. I'll also mention that after talking with numerous teams, founders, and investors, the narrative around AI agents and the infrastructure for these AI agents is gaining momentum. In fact, almost every project is creating its own AI agent, bot, or platform, in one way or another connecting AI with blockchain and other processes. It's becoming more and more a part of our lives. We also attended a private dinner with the Nansen team. Nansen is an on-chain analytics platform. We discussed our potential partnership with them. I can't disclose the details yet, but a bit later you will, of course, find out about it and even get to use the product we are creating together. Additionally, our fund, Webwise Capital, together with our portfolio project Liquid, held our own side event. Our general partner Alexander participated in a panel discussion on institutional portfolio management and navigating the crypto market to extract alpha. That was the topic of this panel discussion. There were heated debates. Overall, it was quite an interesting topic as the room was filled with many institutional investors, funds, business angels, and only a few founders. What conclusion can be drawn from the speeches and the panel discussion as a whole? There is a clearly noticeable improvement in the market from the side of venture capital. Some projects have indeed managed to raise funds over the past year. Some are still doing so. Overall, venture capitalists are optimistic about investing and deploying capital, but they are not rushing into it. They are analyzing carefully, watching the market. It's not like it was in 2021. Back then, the narrative and the mood among venture capitalists were somewhat different. Overall, I have to say, it was inspiring to meet friends and partners in person. They are also energetically building the future, paving the way forward, investing, discovering new alphas, projects, founders, generally promoting bold ideas and making new connections. That's it. I'd like to specifically highlight the Solana Super Team event. Solana Super Team is a sort of layer within the Solana team, bringing together various founders, builders, and developers specifically within the Solana ecosystem. A few months earlier, I attended a similar meeting in Vietnam and now in Dubai. And during Token 2049, I also managed to attend this event. What did I take away from it? Overall, in the past 6 to 9 months, Solana has made a huge leap forward. This is confirmed by the still low fees, high throughput, and more top teams are launching their products there. Previously, there was talk about competition from protocols like Monad or Sui, but now the gap in favor of Solana is clearly enormous. In fact, the Solana network confidently remains in the top 5 crypto assets and is already being discussed by regulators alongside Bitcoin and Ethereum in the context of ETF approval. This definitely suggests that there will be an influx of institutional capital and an increase in capitalization, but there's another side to it, which Solana is actively working on right now. Overall, the Solana Foundation is focused on actively maintaining decentralization. In fact, they are launching a program that incentivizes node holders, validators. That is, they need to increase the amount of capacity to provide all these teams and users with greater resources and throughput so that everything works quickly and scales efficiently. As of today, there is an amazing opportunity to receive what we might call a grant as part of the delegation program. 32,000 Solana. If you run a node for a year and keep it operational, constantly monitor it, and release updates, you can actually earn quite well. For me, I compare this to the opportunity I had in the early years when I first got into cryptocurrency, or rather, before I even got into it, when I first heard about it and started doing some operations. And starting from 2017, 2018, the topic of miners was actively promoted. I thought, well, mining isn't for me. I'd rather just buy Bitcoin. But that was a missed opportunity. Later, I regretted it when it was already 2019, but by then the income had clearly dropped and the window of opportunity had closed. But now, considering that the technology has changed, Bitcoin remains on a proof of work consensus. The others, Ethereum, Solana, and other blockchains, are operating on proof of stake technology. So, accordingly, it's no longer a physical process where you need to buy a miner, but rather you launch a virtual machine on your own hardware on servers. Of course, somewhere this still exists physically, data centers, machines, but there's the possibility to launch remotely. Personally, I'm not missing out on this opportunity, and I recommend you take advantage of it as well. Overall, I'll emphasize once again that we live in a time of great opportunities, and one of the most promising steps is to be in the market, to understand what's happening, and to participate in it. At the very least, one of the opportunities is to launch your own validator on Solana and secure a place in its infrastructure. It's not just about being a coin holder from the market like most people. Thanks to insider information, access to such information opens up these kinds of opportunities. As for the projects themselves, I'll probably talk about them in our next meetings, but you can go to our social networks. There we constantly share in detail what's happening with us, what updates we're making. There's a lot of interesting stuff there. Welcome. We'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. We'll support you, use our products, and let's develop together. Let's grow together. Thank you all very much for your attention. See you soon.
Obviously, we sincerely thank Adar for his exceptionally detailed and very informative account of Token 2049, which provided us with a comprehensive overview of the event. I can only echo and wholeheartedly agree with his words about the current trends in the industry and about the importance of validators. Clearly, the Validators project is extremely promising. It represents a golden middle ground for beginners, especially for those who are just starting their journey in the world of cryptocurrency and digital assets. This is because you don't have to worry at all about equipment that ages over time, needs repairs, or requires constant monitoring for temperature and cooling. Yet this equipment continues to mine you Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. If we draw analogies, that's gold, silver, and platinum respectively. By joining the Validators Solana project in partnership with the DigiU ecosystem and with Solana itself, which launched this innovative program and offers such great favorable conditions, it's clear that it's beneficial for them and they're betting on it for the future. Accordingly, this is currently the best opportunity to enter this world without having advanced expertise or technical knowledge. We will handle absolutely everything for you. Your only task is to make timely payments for the server, nothing more. We've simplified this interface as much as possible. We've also added the convenient option to purchase validators in installments. You can see for yourself how Solana is growing rapidly. You can see the increasing demand. You can see the impressive efficiency of this blockchain. And the program itself offers quite high earnings in the first year. Over the course of a year, these investments pay off multiple times, even the payments for the services we as a provider guarantee, namely bringing your validator to mainnet without any missed steps, without any failures, and so on. We guarantee timely maintenance, prompt completion of tasks, updates, and so on. That's it. We haven't found anything better on the market in terms of both price and quality. There are offers that are significantly more expensive, and especially without installment plans or any of the other benefits. So go to your personal account and purchase in installments. Clearly, this is an investment in the future, not just for one person, not just for you personally, but for your family, your children, your future children, and so on, because this is a serious step in partnership with reputable companies and a highly reputable blockchain This is my sincere recommendation, so take advantage of this opportunity. What else do I want to mention, and what awaits all of us in the coming months? On July 1st, we will complete all work related to the company's reorganization. We have already made significant progress since the last webinar. Very soon we will hold another legally transparent webinar on the topic of reorganization. For now, I just want to remind you that at the end of last year, we actively began the process of reorganizing the company. Now we have almost finalized the jurisdiction. It will be the British Virgin Islands. I have seen a lot of news related to the development of this jurisdiction. We support it, and most likely we will choose it. This issue will be fully resolved very soon, and in fact we have decided that shares sold before July 1st will be considered preferred, and your ownership share will increase. That is, if you own shares, you own 30% of the ecosystem, meaning 30% of everything we have created over almost 6 years will belong to the community. This is our step towards what we promised several years ago, and we are finally getting there. But we're not just getting there, we're also introducing the possibility of creating a privileged status for our investors, those who have been with us from the very beginning, and those who have supported our project for a long time, received bonuses, dividends, developed together with the ecosystem, used the products, and witnessed how everything was launched, how it overcame challenges and difficulties. Obviously, a privileged investor is someone who will have a certain list of additional rights, for example, dividend rights, liquidation preferences, possibly voting rights, anti-dilution rights, and so on. The set of rights is still being clarified and will continue to be refined. Be sure to watch my webinar on this topic, where I share these updates and pay a bit more attention to these rights. For example, dividends. This could mean priority in dividend payments or cumulative dividends, which may be available to privileged investors, meaning dividends accumulate over time. And all of this is in fact standard international practice. Just a few days ago, there was a rather interesting post about how different companies use this model of privileged and non-privileged shares. Read up on it, study it. Why are we doing this? Because we received a lot of questions. After all, we are increasing the ownership share. The community used to have 10%, and now it will be up to 30%. We are doing this using the familiar model through snapshot. 3 snapshots, just like last year. If you want to participate in each one, and your share will increase. It's a simple, straightforward mechanism. So make any payment for shares, any purchase of shares during this period. This will be in April, May, and June. Accordingly, you will be included in each snapshot. You can simply keep making installment payments, but that's for those who don't want more. If you want more, calculate everything, take a look and understand. For example, if you have a $100 package and you make a $50 payment in April, another $50 in May, and another $50 in June, then you will receive the shares included in the package, the bonuses, and everything else. They will become privileged. Naturally, there are no questions about that. But is this enough to provide a serious financial cushion for yourself and your family? Of course not. We have never said that investing a few $100s can make you a millionaire in the next few years. Calculate everything, for example, upgrade your package, increase it at the current rate or at your personal rate. In other words, choose a more serious approach. This is my sincere life recommendation. Read the posts where we describe everything. Watch my webinar on this topic. And accordingly, you'll see that, for example, you can upgrade your package to $1,000, get a bonus for it, participate in the snapshot, and so on. And for instance, starting from $1,000 and above, we can already expect some significant changes in the future that will happen to you as a co-owner of the DigiU ecosystem. And at some point you'll say, great, I watched the webinar in mid-May, listened to Alexey, and the advice he gave turned out to be right. Thank you, DigiU. Thank you, Alexey. That's what I want. And to make that happen, we're doing everything we can and even more. Thank you for today's meeting, for today's webinar. It was very informative for me as a speaker as well. Thanks to Adar and all the best.